SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man. Way past.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in to Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Glad to be with you as we get rolling on this Friday morning, the 24th of April. April 24th, 2026. Thanks for joining us. The C Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. So much happening at C Spire, including great deals for you. Right now at C Spire, new and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and a tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com today. Lance, my routine in the mornings is pretty simple. Get up, shower, coffee, breakfast, sit for 5 minutes, and just kind of wake up, and then here we go. Routine disrupted a little bit this morning.
It was one of the, like an alarm clock failure, or?
No, not an alarm clock failure. Last night, yesterday afternoon. So when we finished yesterday, I went and played golf with some buddies. Was gone most of the day. Checked in with Jane after I finished up. Ran some errands. Came to the house. Pulled in the driveway, and what's that over the side yard? That looks wet.
Oh, you got a busted pipe?
That's a lot of standing water. I couldn't do anything about it right that second. I had a couple things I needed to do, and so I got back to it about 5:30 last night. And I kind of walking around, I was like, where is this coming from? And started looking and looking. I'm like, I found a spot where it was bubbling. So when we did the kind of the construction stuff that finished up a year ago, one of the things that we did was we buried the power from the street to the house. Mm-hmm. Like the pole to the house. And it was a code thing. And look better and get it out of the way and hopefully have less power outages and all that good stuff. But that dirt is not as compacted as the stuff that's been there for, since dinosaurs were roaming the earth. So I can see that it's bubbling in one spot. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start digging there. And I dig down enough that you can kind of feel where the water, it's like, all right, there's a tunnel that you can kind of follow with your fingers, and it's loose, and kind of go over, and it's over by my office outside where we sit right now. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is right, though. And so I keep digging around, and finally about 9 o'clock last night, I found the spot. So I turned the water off. We got 2 water meters. I turned one of them off, and it did nothing. I was like, all right, well, it's on the main water line for the house, which is not great.
It's kind of like taking the ACT, process of elimination.
Yeah. There was some elimination in there. So I killed the water to the house. Now nobody can take a shower. Nobody can take a bath last night. And they were like, what are we going to do? I was like, well, here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to turn it back on and let the side yard flood some more. You can take a bath, do whatever you need to do. And it's like, it's already done. So once everybody was done, I killed it again and scooped, I don't know how many gallons of muddy water out of that hole and kind of dug around. And I finally found it. There's a pipe where it appears the cap on it has blown off.
Would it have like an end cap to it where it had been capped off, and that's the one?
Yeah. think that's what I'm dealing with. And it is our house is old. I should say it is an older home, and we've done some renovations. We love our house. And the lady that, well, the family that had the house, but the wife was a huge yard person. And it's kind of cool. Like, we've got some mature landscaping in some spots, like Garden Mama she would approve, because it was a long-term play, and it was a plan, and I mean, there's watering everywhere and drainage everywhere. Like, it was really thought out well, but I don't know where it all is. And it's like this mix of, you got PEX lines in places, and you got PVC pipe in places, and this is a metal, like I'm going to say it's a 1/4 inch, might be a 1/2 inch water line that runs from somewhere to somewhere else. I know that sounds ridiculous and it sounds ambiguous. Like, I don't know what this water line is attached to or where it is going. I just know that it needs a cap on it so that we can turn the water back onto the house and we can all bathe and drink and all of the things.
It's always fun figuring out stuff, though, you know?
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like doing that. You know, when you personally can and have the ability to dig the hole, find the leak, do something about it, you know, instead of having to call like 3 people, I always find it, very inspiring to myself.
Hey, Lance, I got to tell on myself.
What's that?
I called more than 3 people. Nobody could come, though.
That's what it was, yeah.
It was the after hours deal. I'm like, am I really going to have to do this?
Yeah, when you said you started digging, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm talking about right there, getting to the root of the problem.
Oh, man, I was out there in my knee boots and
it was a mess, too.
Shorts, and yeah. He said, that's quite the look. I was like, at one point, this was the best part of the night. At one point, she goes, hey, is there anything I can do to help? And I said, absolutely. Come on over here. She goes, I mean, I didn't really mean that. I just was trying to, like, offer moral support. I was like, I know. She said, why do you think I got married? Oh, me.
She's a smart one, Miss Cross.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. So you'll get it fixed, though. Everybody got a bath. You found out you have a leak and you need a cap. I learned so much.
Yes. That's why I'm wearing a hat this morning. It's like I didn't feel like going to turn the water on to flood the yard again to take a shower before we started this morning. So
Look
here
at
we
those
go.
beautiful locks of hair out there.
Yeah,
Well, I learned a lot in high school. You know, you would think that you would learn baseball playing baseball, but no, we were
Sure.
We were the type of outfit that our coach wanted a perfect field. Northwest Rankin was known for always having a great playing surface.
Yeah.
And as the years passed on, we always added on. But the first project McClaskey had us do was we dug up the whole field and put in a in-ground sprinkler system.
There you go.
And I learned a lot about pipes and
I'll bet.
PVC and sprinklers that I've carried with me all these many years.
Yeah.
Hey, I have one thing I wanted to mention because it was such a cool and honor to get to do this show every day. Sometimes you come across some interesting things like we did with Gary and the unexplained phenomenon that he encountered. Well, because of that show that we did in that spot, and we had a lot of listeners that really enjoyed that, but one reached out.
The UFO.
Yeah, the UFO.
Okay.
And so I received a letter the other day from a wonderful lady from Boonville. I don't want to mention names or anything, but I just wanted to say to her, thank you for taking the time to write me. It was such an entertaining letter to read, plus lots of clippings from over the years that she had grabbed from that area with sightings. And I just found it to be a very wonderful story. And her connecting and getting a letter like that was just really cool. So I wanted to say thank you for Miss, I'm not going to mention, in Boonville.
Do we need to have her on the
might,
program as well?
I'm going to reach out to her. Yeah,
Okay.
But it was such a sweet letter. And it is an honor to get to do this every day. And that's one of the great things that we get to do is, learn about Mississippi and Mississippians. There's nothing better than that.
And maybe
And some UFOs.
other
every now
stuff,
and then.
too.
Yeah.
I have rambled a bit. Here's your forecast. Oxford today, high of about 77, low tonight around 60. Scattered thunderstorms likely in the afternoon and evening. That affects potentially both double-decker and an SEC baseball weekend. Increasing clouds with mix of sunshine and clouds earlier in the day. Starkville, 82 for you today for the high, low tonight around 60. Really similar forecast to what I was giving you for Oxford just a second ago. Actually, some changes to the schedule in Starkville this weekend as a result of potential thunderstorms. Laurel, you're coming in at 83 today. Mix of clouds and sun turning cloudier with isolated thunderstorms possibly this afternoon. Biloxi, 78 for you tonight. Overnight, 68 for a low. Southeast winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Still a chance for rain for you. Overall, going to be humid today across the state. Thunderstorms could be strong in spots. Rain chances are highest this afternoon and evening. Got some things that happened, some birthdays, some news headlines, a sports update, and a whole lot more with you. Just getting started on this Friday morning, April 24th. Mornings of Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Judy in the sky.
Good morning from the Venable Glass.
Check this out.
Now what can be offered you?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Information.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Be patient.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yes, sir.
Mornings of Richard Cross presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Thanks for being with us. Barbra Streisand was born on this day in 1942. Filmmaker known for classics like Funny Girl and A Star is Born. Wait a second. Wait, Richard. I thought that was Lady Gaga in A Star is Born. Oh, Barbra Streisand in the one before that. But there was also a one before that.
The Wayback Machine. Huh?
The Wayback Machine. I think there have been 3 different movie makes of A Star is Born. It's, have you seen it?
I don't think so.
Hey!
I'm trying to.
We found a movie that I've seen that you haven't.
Yeah, you've got 1937, 54, 76, and
Oh, there's
2018.
been 4.
Yes, sir.
Was off
the
by
37 one, though. That I'm curious who was in that because I get into the old 37s and all that stuff. Those are really fun movies. Janet Gaynor and Frederick March. Yeah, you've heard of them, right?
Yeah, Gaga was spectacular. She was great. Tough story now. It really is. Shirley MacLaine was born in 1934. The actress, dancer, and author with a long career in films, including Terms of Endearment. Kelly Clarkson, born in 1982, the pop singer and very first American Idol winner.
I think so, right? Isn't that the first one?
I think so. Her biggest hit, I suppose, Since You've Been Gone. Djimon Hounsou, born in 1964, Oscar-nominated actor for roles in Gladiator, Blood Diamond, and the Marvel films. The birthdays were weird today. Not a lot there.
I've never known how to say his name. Is it Dimon or? I was like,
I just kind of assumed that we were dropping the D and going with Djimon.
Yeah, he's a great actor, though.
D-J-I-M-O-N.
Yes, sir.
Cedric the Entertainer, born on this day in 1964. He was, I guess, most known for his role on the Steve Harvey Show.
Yeah, it's again going back, aren't you, man?
Yeah.
And Barbershop, that's a good one.
Anytime you got a greatest of all time, we got to give him credit. So let's do that. Sachin Tendulkar.
He's the cricket guy, right?
Born in 1973, widely regarded as one of the greatest batsmen of all time, an Indian cricket legend.
Yeah, I learned that on Family Guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brian was dating a Indian girl, the dog, and one of the pop questions that was asked was, who is, the greatest cricket player in Indian history? And Sachin Tendulkar, that was the answer. He didn't know. He said Jiminy Cricket.
Also a great answer. Yeah. Also a great answer. One of the things that we did that was really fun and was really funny one time on Sports Talk Mississippi years ago was, it was a slow day, maybe in the middle of the summer, and there was a cricket story, and we just went all in on it.
Hey, man, it's probably over 1.5 billion people watching.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's amazing, man. I have a couple of the guys that I know at the gas station. They're from India and big cricket fans, so I've learned a little bit about it, and he keeps telling me the channel to go to, and I'm like,
I bet they like test cricket, though. Doesn't last as long.
I'm like, man, I'm not going to that web address. That does not look legal. He's like, oh, it's very legal. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not going to that, no.
Sure.
We can watch it all for free. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
All right, let's boogie through some things that happened on this day, 1184 BC, the fall of Troy. The Greeks enter Troy using the great Trojan horse, according to legend, marking a pivotal moment in the Trojan War. So that was, about 3,000 years ago, give or take?
They weren't very smart back then. I mean, you think you pack a bunch of dudes that just been eating and probably drinking coffee and meat into a wooden horse, and they got to sit there for however long. You're telling me nobody broke wind or had to go to the bathroom, nobody smelled anything. Oh, it's just, there's a horse. It's leaking stuff everywhere.
Could have been that there was a ventilation system in there.
There could have been, but I mean, you think
might have been the advent of indoor plumbing.
The first porta potty,
yeah. Library of Congress was established on this day in 1800 by President John Adams. Spanish-American War began today in 1898. Spain declared war on the United States after rejecting an ultimatum to withdraw from Cuba.
One of those is interesting, too, because, that's where Teddy Roosevelt took the Rough Riders down there and stormed the hill. But back then, I mean, you could just kind of gather up a military and say, hey, I want a commission. I got all these guys. Send me into the fray.
Let's get after it.
Let's do it.
Teddy was a dude.
Man, wasn't he? And then a trust buster on top of that.
Yeah. Operation Eagle Claw failed on this day in 1980. A military attempt to rescue the American hostages in Iran ended in disaster with a collision in the desert, killing 8 servicemen. In 1981, IBM introduced the personal computer, revolutionizing personal computing and the technology industry.
And how many people at that point started bringing their computer, like work computers home, and it took up like half your office?
Yeah.
I love those things, man. The little floppy disks.
Mm-hmm.
Green screen. You had to use some imagination. It was like reading a book, but playing along kind of.
Hubble telescope launched on this day in 1990. It becomes one of the most important tools for astronomical discovery. And bonus one for you here. First regular newspaper in colonial America, 1704, the Boston Newsletter. We need to get to you some news headlines with you this morning. There were a couple of arrests. By the way, I see all of your messages. I see all of your jokes. Groundhog Day. Man, cross on a Friday. And a few kind words mixed in as well. I see them. I'm laughing with you. You're laughing at me. It's all good. It's all good. I appreciate Dave's willingness to be here on most Fridays, and I'm happy to be with you this morning. 2 arrests have been made in connection with a double homicide of a pair of Jackson teenagers. Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones reports that Bruce White and Ezra White, ages 18 and 19, but apparently unrelated, were handcuffed in connection with the killing of Terry Burrell Jr. and Chloe Hudson. Both victims attended Lanier Junior Senior High School. and they were 16 at the time of their death. Police report that sanitation workers first discovered Burrell and Hudson dead along South Springdale Road in Pocahontas back on March 30th. Just under a month later, law enforcement has made arrests in the case. Sheriff Jones believes the two men knew the teenage victims prior to allegedly killing them, though he did not weigh in on a possible motive. You are encouraged to reach out with any information that you may have to the Hines Sheriff's Department to help investigators and the prosecutors in the case. Do you remember the Greenville police officer? Not the one from this past summer that got popped for helping out drug dealers, but from 2024, there was a Greenville police officer who was, I guess, indicted and arrested on drug smuggling charges. You remember that, Lance?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There was a roundup of a group, and then there was this one before that, if I recall.
That's right. Shaka Gaines was a sergeant with the Greenville Police Department, somebody that was honored as Supervisor of the Month. And then it didn't go so well for a while. And now this week, during a 3-day trial, attorneys probed his interactions with a longtime Greenville drug dealer and allegations that he attempted to assist drug trafficking, and a jury found him not guilty after less than 2 hours of deliberation. Gaines was accused of attempting to facilitate the transportation and distribution of 25 kilos of cocaine. The government had to prove that he intended to help with drug trafficking and made a significant step toward doing so. Prosecutors claimed Gaines intended to escort a truck bearing illegal narcotics from the eastern end of Greenville to the western side in his patrol vehicle. The sting operation that ensnared Gaines was part of a federal crackdown on alleged law enforcement-assisted drug trafficking in the Delta. In all, 14 officers were charged in 6 indictments. 6 of them have already pleaded guilty. 2 trials are scheduled for this summer. There's more to this story, though. Let me give you the other side of this when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the SuperTalk.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
The monitor switch lets you hear
Breaking news.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Sisters sang in her sleep. Brothers got a date to keep, you can't hang around. Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house, it has a crowd.
Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Have you seen any of the videos of the tornadoes from Oklahoma yesterday?
Oh, man, that was terrible.
Man, it's rare that you get the daylight videos.
Yes.
It feels like all of our tornadoes are in the middle of the night, and so they're really hard to see. But daytime and well-formed and rough stuff.
It seems like you see a lot more of the daytime tornadoes in the Midwest for some reason. That seems to be where all of the great images and the huge, funnel clouds and just people chasing them. I guess it's because it's so
not
flat.
Great in a good way, in a literal sense of it's
absolutely remarkable to see them in the daylight like that. I mean, that's the most imposing Earth event. I would say, other than maybe a volcano exploding or something. Seeing a tornado like that, it scares you in your steps.
No doubt, and nothing you can do about it either.
Get the heck out of there.
Batten down the hatches, and that may not be enough. All right, so the story before the break. So this Greenville police officer, Chaka Gaines, who was part of a federal crackdown on alleged law enforcement-assisted drug trafficking in the Mississippi Delta, was defended by Bridget Morgan. His attorney referred to the case against Gaines as a disgusting example of injustice and clickbait. Did that in her opening argument on Monday, and then referred to the prosecutor's proof as fake evidence appearing real in her closing argument. Morgan argued that the government's case sounded more real than it was. There was no cocaine used in the alleged drug run. The Mexican drug cartel member was an undercover FBI agent, she reminded jurors. There was no proof that Gaines was ever interacted or ever actually interacted with him. And the drug run that Gaines was accused of attempting to aid and abet was part of a sting operation that federal prosecutors set up with the help of Fred Hood, a local drug dealer turned government informant. She argued there was no clear agreement between Gaines and Hood to help transport cocaine or other illegal narcotics. All right. Can we talk about this without having a lawsuit for defamation or libel? I think so. The prosecutors, the federal government, did a poor job in handling this case. They didn't have what they needed to get the conviction. Can we recognize that this officer was probably involved in some things that he wasn't supposed to be involved with, and he gets off on a technicality? You got 14 law enforcement officers across the Delta that were charged in 6 indictments for smuggling drugs or helping smuggle drugs across the Delta. And so it's not like it's crazy to think that one of them would get off. I don't know, man. Maybe I shouldn't say anything beyond that because maybe my opinions don't really matter. Like, congratulations on good lawyering. Congratulations on having a good lawyer. Boo on you to the prosecutors for not having your ducks in a row. And congrats, I guess, to the one that got away. Because it kind of feels like Gaines knew what was going on and was involved in this operation, but he got thrown into kind of an ill-conceived sting op and then got a pretty decent attorney that's gotten him out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly. Either he was guilty and is slipperier than a greased pig, or either he's innocent, one or the other. But,
or he's too dumb to be doing that job in the first place.
But, I mean, yeah, well, that's one of those cases, though, with so much at one time.
You got to prove it, though, man. You got to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. As I was saying, with so many at one time, it doesn't allow for you to say, "Oh, everybody's guilty." You got to prove it in the court of law.
You absolutely have to prove it. An exchange of gunfire at a food court inside a Louisiana mall yesterday killed one person and wounded 5 others and sent workers and shoppers scrambling for safety. Authorities described the shooting inside the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge as a confrontation between 2 groups of people and not a random attack. The Attorney General in Louisiana is Liz Muriel, and she said some innocent bystanders were struck by fire. Popo said this was an agreement, a disagreement, a fight between 2 different groups of people that we are still trying to unravel, and unfortunately, innocent victims got caught in the crossfire. Feel like in that carefully worded statement, there was no mention of gang activity, which is rampant in Baton Rouge. Maybe it was just a couple of girls that were mad at each other. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it was a West Side Story type of fight, but why? I mean, that's my question with all this. Why? Why do you go to a mall?
Because somebody broke line at the Corn Dog 7.
Yeah, something happened. Yeah, but 2 groups of people show
because
up at the mall.
Because I didn't get the right size piece of pizza at Sbarro.
Good Lord. I mean, calm down, folks. Lordy.
Because they were out of egg rolls at Manchu Wok. Food court of a mall.
Yeah, I mean, that would have never even dawned on me as a kid at 17.
Isn't that the truth?
Ever. Never would have thought about it.
Morning Sports Update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. You looking for something fun to do this weekend? How about a trip to Choctaw, Mississippi at Pearl River Resort? Whether it's to play golf at Dancing Rabbit, have dinner at Philip M's or Mama and M's, find some table games, sit out at the slots, whatever it is that makes you smile, that suits your fancy, they've got it at Pearl River Resort. Learn more online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment.
Yeah, you got to get those white legs out there in the splash pool and tan them up.
I don't think they're quite open yet.
Not quite yet. Well, you got plenty of other things to do.
Before long, they will be.
Yeah.
I believe that's Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. Yeah, it tells you how. I don't have kids, so I'm not.
I will double
that's
check.
not on the calendar.
Yeah. Quarterback from the University of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, was the number 1 overall pick. He is headed to Vegas to be the quarterback for the Raiders. What a year he had last year at Indiana, on the way to a national championship. The rest of the top 5 in the draft: David Bailey from Texas Tech, the edge rusher, goes to the New York Jets with the 2nd pick. With the 3rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals take Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. That is high for a running back, but he is a talent. With the 4th pick of the draft, the Titans take Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, wide receiver. And Arvell Reese, a linebacker from Ohio State, goes at number 5 to the New York Football Giants.
I'll be honest with you, Richard. I mean, I keep up.
You didn't know who a lot of those guys were,
I didn't know any
did
of
you?
these guys other than Love, really, right out of the gate. It's like, who are these guys? Okay.
I thought that we were going to see Jerry Jones do a ditty and shed a tear. When he realized that Caleb Downs was still going to be on the board at 11, they got on the phone, they called the Miami Dolphins, and they said, we want to buy your pick, and they got him. They got their guy, Caleb Downs. This feels like the best job that the Cowboys have done in the draft since taking Micah Parsons out of Penn State a few years ago. I'm not really an NFL guy, but that's the analysis I've got for you.
Let's see how the Cowboys can mess that up.
Ty Simpson went to the Rams at 13. I don't know if Sean McVay was happy about that or not, had kind of an odd look on his face. This was not a star-heavy draft.
I thought Bain would likely go a little higher. He was so highly.
Who?
The Reuben Bain kid from Miami, the edge rusher. Yeah, I mean, I talked about him all year. This guy's for sure.
Went 15th to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He's going to make a good living.
Yes, sir.
You had 2 SEC baseball games last night. Arkansas scored 2 in the 7th and 2 in the 8th to come from behind and win 5-4 over the Missouri Tigers to take game 1 of that series. And they had a wild one in Knoxville last night. Alabama with a 12-8 win over Tennessee to get game 1 at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Rest of the weekend gets started tonight. There have been some game time changes, including in Starkville, where Mississippi State and LSU will begin their series at 3 o'clock this afternoon at Dudy Noble. A&M is at Florida, Oklahoma at Auburn, Texas at Vanderbilt, Kentucky at South Carolina, and Georgia is at Ole Miss. At least as we sit here right now, no game time change announced for Ole Miss and Georgia. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Check them out online, Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. We're back with you right after this.
Good morning from the Venable Glass.
BT Mornings with Richard Cross.
Let's get on with the show. Check it out.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Back with you, Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Today is Friday, April 24th. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Glad to have you along for the ride. C-Spire text line open, 601-879-4395. It is time for your Mississippi Lottery update online at mslottery.com, mslottery.com. Next Powerball jackpot drawing is Saturday night, $118 million in the kitty for that one, $53.9 million, your estimated cash value. Tonight, you've got a Mega Millions drawing, $150 million up for grabs, cash value $67,300,000. The Lotto America jackpot is now an estimated $22.9 million, making it the third largest in the game's history. There's a cash value of about $10.5 million. The jackpot's been rolling since August, building excitement with every drawing, and big jackpots like this don't come around too often. Tickets are just $1. Dollar. For another $1, add Easy Match for a chance to win instantly. Get your ticket today at any authorized Mississippi Lottery retailer and check your numbers at mslottery.com or the Mississippi Lottery app. All right, so $22,990,000 for Lotto America. $10.5 million is the cash value. So, Lance, we're doing about $7 million after taxes.
There you go.
That is a dollar amount that could change a lot of lives.
Yeah. Change mine in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yours, mine.
I'd even loan some out, probably. I'd be generous. Have a big party, loan it out.
27% APR.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Loans by Lance.
Yeah.
Check them out.
Yeah, I would have a little setup out there, where high interest loans. Definitely, man. Push the envelope.
Yeah. Thomas in Greenwood. He goes, oh, goodness, it's Friday. Will the Truth Social post affecting the market pattern continue, or will he stick to bashing India? I would think, Thomas, that you would be on board with him bashing India. That seems to be right, like, in your wheelhouse. Right? I'm not being flippant. Like, Thomas constantly sends this message like, oh, well, the workers are just going to come from India. So if Trump's getting after India, like, you're on board there, right? I don't know. I wish I wish that I knew if he was going to make a Truth Social post, what it was going to be in regard to. So that you could load up on that sector before.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Kind of like, did you see this, Lance? Did you see all right, here we go. This news came out yesterday. A United States soldier has been charged with using classified intelligence to win $400,000 on a Polymarket bet pertaining to the Maduro raid.
Wow.
U.S. Special Forces soldier involved in the operation to capture Maduro has been charged with using classified information about the mission to win more than $400,000 in an online betting market. Gannon Ken Van Dyke was part of the operation to capture Maduro in January and used his access to classified information to make money on the prediction market site Polymarket. The federal prosecutor's office in New York said. There's more to this story, but I want you to hear Trump's reaction to it. And if we have time, I'll give you mine as well. All right, question in press briefing yesterday for the president.
President, apparently there was a Special Forces soldier who was involved in the capture of Venezuelan President Maduro, who was arrested by federal authorities today on suspicion of insider trading and betting on Polymarket. Are you concerned that federal employees are betting on these prediction markets and potentially getting rich?
Well, I don't know about it, but was he betting that they would get him or they wouldn't get him?
It sounds like he was betting on his removal from office, that Maduro would be removed.
Well, that's
it sounds like
interesting.
he was involved in the operation.
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. It's a little like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, they kept him out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team. Now, if he bet against his team, that would be no good, but he bet.
Never change, Mr. President. I don't know. I hadn't really heard about that. Who did he bet on?
That's the part there.
He took us?
He bet on the home team, yeah.
I'm sorry. We got a special ops soldier who went into Venezuela and helped take out a communist leader, and they got out, and nobody got killed or hurt. Well, somebody got hurt. Nobody got killed from the United States. We got Nancy Pelosi with $150 or $250 million in net worth. She's been doing it forever, but I got a soldier that makes $400,000 and I'm supposed to be outraged? I'll pass.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Reaching across the state and across the aisle. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Presented by Community Bank. Online at communitybank.net. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. This hour, the 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. MWGEmployerservices.com is their website. Their phone number is 601-206-7966. Their business is making your life easier, especially if you're struggling with HR or benefits or payroll. MWG Employer Service comes in and they can help you with all of your employer services needs and build a custom plan just for you. Learn more. Give them a call, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerservices.com. If you missed it there at the end of the hour, we have a special forces soldier who has been indicted by the Department of Justice for betting on the outcome of the Maduro operation and his removal from Venezuela. And he is accused of winning more than $400,000 in the online betting market. Complaint alleges that the soldier, Van Dyke, moved $35,000 from his personal bank account into a cryptocurrency exchange on December the 26th, a little over a week before U.S. forces would fly to Caracas and seize Maduro. He used more than $32,500 to make a series of bets on when Maduro might be removed from power. Placed those bets between December 30th and January 2nd, the majority occurring on the night of January 2nd, just hours before the first missiles would fall on Caracas. In the early hours of January 3rd, President Trump posted on his social media platform a photo of the now captured Venezuelan leader wearing a gray sweatsuit, headphones, and a blindfold. The bets that Van Dyke made on Maduro leaving power resulted in more than $404,000 of profit.
Good for him, man.
Of course it's wrong.
I mean, did he have insider info? He didn't know they were going to win. I mean, I'm just thinking of devil's advocate. It's not like he knew, hey, we got this in the bag. Ain't nothing to it.
He did take a shot now.
Yeah, he took a shot, man. It didn't seem like he did anything illegal. His money was moved into crypto. I mean, they saw that. He placed the bet. He didn't know the outcome. I mean, I don't see anything really wrong with that. Now, if he'd have bet against us, I think that would have raised some eyes. But I don't know.
I actually love that quote from Trump. And I appreciate the question. The reporter says, sir, there are reports coming in that there's a soldier that has been arrested. And Trump's question is, well, did he bet on us or against us? Yeah. And she's like, well, the information indicates that he betted on the successful removal of Maduro. He goes, that's kind of like Pete Rose.
Yeah.
If he had bet against us, we'd have a problem.
Well, it's a question like one of our listeners. What's the difference then, a soldier betting or Nancy Pelosi using insider? Well, look, first of all,
soldier's not elected by the people to serve in Congress. That's the difference.
And he didn't have insider information per se. I mean, he knew they were going to, invade, but I mean, he didn't know the outcome, as all the congressmen actually make the outcome. So they know what's going to happen beforehand. They passed the law.
Sure.
They know where the land's going to be cheap, but it's going to be expensive soon. Things like that.
Yeah.
But this guy, he was doing his job, man. Like me betting on SuperTalk to grow at a 2 times clip. Well, man, if I can make a little money off of that, and hey, I work here, I want it to grow. I mean, maybe that's called bonus pay.
Maybe so.
It's the poor man's options.
I guess my point is there are a lot that are outraged. Like, oh, can you believe a soldier would use his position to go bet? I say, well done, soldier.
Yeah, good job for you, man.
You are not paid enough for your work, which is highly dangerous. I appreciate your ingenuity and your go-get-emness. And I think I would hire you if I had an opening.
And Thomas, the contrarian mind, which I greatly appreciate, is none of the rest of us knew about the raid beforehand. Yeah, but we didn't know if it was going to be successful or fail either. So neither did he. I mean, I don't think he was betting on whether we were going to raid Maduro. He was betting on whether we were going to grab him. So, yeah. Again, this is gray area. Curious how it's all going to play out.
Okay, this is actually funny. C-Spire text line. Or betting on Richard working on a Friday.
There we go.
So, I mean, I wonder what I could have got in terms of polymarket odds if yesterday afternoon about, 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I would have been like, hey, polymarket.
This is
I'm going to bet that Richard works on a Friday.
Oh, man, this is an idea here. I can see bonus pay coming for both of us. Manipulate the system a bit. Call you at like 4:50 in the morning and say, hey, man, the odds are just right for you not to be in today. Could you please wake up and come on?
My tummy hurts. I'm not going to make it today.
You can be like, hey, man, how much are we going to make if I show up? And then I tell you the dollar amount, and you're like, yeah, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be like this. I'm just mad that I didn't know about it. But hey, again, that's such is life, right?
Now look, this is a very some of what I'm saying about our soldier brother making $400,000 on this is tongue in cheek. Some of it is,
yeah,
because this is a reasonable response. Hold on, if any foreign military intelligence unit can trace the bet back to a member of the military, it potentially puts the mission in jeopardy, and for that reason it would be wrong. I don't entirely disagree with that.
They could also, think about this, with global markets, they could be betting on the same thing.
They could be betting on the same thing, and you just as easily could manipulate that intelligence with a bet on a different day. And actually, if you think that that's not happening, you're probably crazy. Mm-hmm. You don't think you don't think the CIA and the intelligence community in the United States is using Gaussian polymarket to persuade public sentiment,
narrative intelligence,
or full-time foreign governments? Hey, kind of a big story here. I don't think we'll have time to get into all of it right now, but. Yesterday, the Mississippi Supreme Court revived brought back to life from the dead a defamation lawsuit that Governor Phil Bryant had filed against the news organization Mississippi Today. Of the current state Supreme Court justices, all 7 ruled that Madison County Circuit Court Judge Bradley Mills incorrectly dismissed Bryant's lawsuit against the newsroom in April of 2025 and ordered the judge to hear more legal arguments. All right, let's not get caught up in the legalese here. Just make sure we know what happened. Phil Bryant sued Mississippi Today for defamation. This went to a Madison County court. The lawsuit was dismissed. Bryant's counsel appealed to the state Supreme Court, and the state Supreme Court said in a 7-0 ruling, this has enough merit that the facts of the case need to be heard without it being summarily dismissed by the judge. This is not Phil Bryant wins against Mississippi Today. This is not Mississippi Today is vindicated for all that they said, wrote, and reported about Phil Bryant. This is simply the Supreme Court of the state of Mississippi going, hold on a second. This is what he claimed. This is what they did. There is enough here that this is a case that should be heard in all its detail, not summarily dismissed by a judge because he wants to go play golf this afternoon. That's probably not fair to the Madison County Circuit Court judge. I don't know if he plays golf or not.
Pickleball, probably, yeah.
But for the Supreme Court to take your ruling and in a 7-0 ruling go, hey, get back in your chair, put your robe back on, and listen to the case instead of just sending it to the trash heap, that's a fairly resounding ruling by the state Supreme Court. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass.
This is Mornings with Richard Cross.
Let's do it.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you along for the ride this morning. There is a press conference that's happening at the Pentagon right now. General Dan Raisin Kane giving an update on Operation Epic Fury. We'll check in on what he's got to say before we wrap things up this morning. But time to welcome in our first guest. That is Mandy Gunasekara. You know Mandy. She has filled in with us a number of times and regular guest as well. Always good to see you. Good Friday morning, Mandy.
Hey, good morning, Richard.
Appreciate some of your time today. Of course, Mandy, former chief of staff with the EPA. Let's start with regulation conversation. It's something that you and I have talked about. It's one of the goals that this administration had coming in. It was remove the red tape, get rid of the regulation, make things easier for business, make things easier for energy and construction. And we seem to have seen that. Is it going as well as the administration would like?
Yeah, it is. And I would say this is the hard part. I was actually up in D.C. talking to a number of folks who are active political appointees at in the energy space, I'll say EPA and other agencies. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. You have the initiative, getting everything initiated from the start, the presidential executive orders coming down to the various agencies, them announcing these huge deregulatory agendas. but now it's kind of working through the process. And this is where it gets really hard. You get into technical battles between different perspectives, whether it's the engineering group, the economist, or some of the scientific elements. This is where it's just a grind of work, but it is going quite well. And it's lending itself to massive cuts on red tape. This is going to be massive savings for anyone who is trying to develop out industrial activity in this country or invest long term in the energy outlook. This is really good news and sending the right signals to the market that America is open for business. It's a part of the president's reindustrialization initiative. And a lot of these have tangibly taken off, and they are in this development phase. So on the deregulatory front, it's been massive success. Obviously, the next phase of all of this is the challenges, the inevitable legal challenges, and fighting them out in the courts. But nonetheless, it really has been a major boon to industrial activity across the country and attracting a lot of foreign investment, reshoring major industrial sectors that are important for national security or basic economic opportunity.
You know, you said something there toward the end that kind of grabbed me, and it is, you said now we go to the courts, right? And we'll see. And when you're on the red team and you finally are getting some stuff done, you inevitably expect the blue team to challenge everything you do in court. And it's incredibly frustrating. But if the blue team gets in power again and they start throwing regulations up all over the place or trying to put policies that are incredibly disagreeable for the red team's going to go to court and sue as well. Are we too litigious? I mean, or is this what we need? I mean, is the judicial system what we need in terms of checks and balances?
Well, it is a really, really important check. And you're exactly right. The strategy of legal approach definitely changes depending on which party is in power. But I think the judicial branch is extremely important as far as being a check on overzealous reach, whether it's agencies trying to push regulations they have no business pushing. This has been an important check for the waters of the U.S., where you had a federal power grab into private property and private property development. The federal courts were a huge backstop pushing on that, as well as the Obama era and Biden era efforts to change up the entire energy landscape, to shut down coal, oil, natural gas, and try to prop up wind and solar by virtue of bureaucrats at EPA calling the shots. The courts have been invaluable in being a check on that. Certainly, it slows down the ability of final rules and regulations to get across the finish line, but that's a part of the process, and that's why it's really important. I've been talking to a lot of the folks working in various general counsel offices in this administration that you adhere to the letter of the law. And this Supreme Court is an originalist Supreme Court, which is a major breath of fresh air. You don't have to worry about activism being injected by the Supreme Court of the United States to greenlight actions that agencies in particular have no business doing. So yes, it is laborious, it is long, it costs a lot of resources, but it is a part of the process and it is extremely important.
I think I agree with you on the makeup of the Supreme Court, although there are days where I question it a little bit more than others. It's a big picture question, and I was just thinking about this as you were talking. So you were chief of staff at the EPA during the first Trump administration. Is climate protection and environmental protection a Republican issue, a Democrat issue, or a nonpartisan issue?
Well, it should be nonpartisan. Climate efforts, making industrial activity more efficient while reducing emissions, that should be something that isn't defined by political entrenchments. The problem, and we saw this, this amped up during, but it is, and you saw it. The Obama administration really started this with what he called the Climate Action Plan, which was after he had major initiatives fail to get across the line in Congress when the Senate was controlled by Democrats. They would not bring up his climate legislation. When all of that failed, he turned to his, quote, pen and phone initiative, basically using agencies to do the dirty work that he couldn't get his friends in Congress to get on board with and get across the finish line because, hey, adding costs to everyday American goods and energy is not popular with the general electorate. He tried to use climate change as a scare tactic to scare the American people into accepting these bad policies, which failed legislatively, but then he pushed the agencies to do anyway. So because of that, it has become very politically entrenched. I would say one of the core focuses of this EPA under the leadership of Administrator Lee Zeldin is to focus an agency like EPA on its fundamental mission, that is delegated by Congress, and that's protecting public health and the environment. And he is actually doing that, trying to get rid of the political elements and the activism that have led things like climate efforts, efficiency efforts, cleaning up the air and water have led them to be in these politically entrenched compartments. So yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is. And this administration, frankly, is doing the hard work to try to focus those resources towards tangible progress across the environmental front.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was thinking about it from the standpoint of when you think about outdoorsmen, hunters, fishermen, whatever, you generally think about a group of people that are more conservative in nature, generally speaking. But then you think about the people who are chaining themselves to trees and, whatever else that are, let's go environment. And that generally seems to be a more liberal person. So you've got two groups of kind of disparate people that, at least in theory, when it comes to taking care of the earth and protecting the environment, are kind of after the same thing. But man, the process by which people try to achieve those goals are very, very different.
Well, it requires balance. It requires balancing what's at the heart of both of those groups that you described, which is preserving natural areas, whether it's for hunting and fishing or whether it's just for pure beauty or some soul level affiliation with it as it is. You've got to balance that with industrial activity that is a core part of economic opportunity in this country. And the hard part is the balance. And that is the hard work that is being done right now. And it's not without controversy. It's not without difficulty, but this administration is doing a really good job.
Mandy, one last thing. We've got a minute and a half until the break. I feel like an underreported story this week was the invoking of the Wartime Powers Act this week by President Trump. And the idea is to leverage American energy to get things going, to get the price of gas down. Is this going to be successful? Is this going to work the way that the administration wants it to, or is there reason for concern?
I think it will. I think it's an additional tool that the president is adding to his energy dominance agenda. And, considering the situation we're in right now with what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, it certainly makes a lot more sense from a legal perspective. But I think what's more important is what President Trump started on day one. He really did a 180 from the Biden administration that was shutting down pipelines, trying to bury coal, oil, and natural gas, keep it in the ground, and have all of the American people deal with the consequences of a future of energy scarcity. President Trump turned that around. He sees a future of energy abundance, and he's using all the tools available to make sure that we're producing the energy we need in the safest, most affordable fashion.
Mandy, thanks for your time. Hope you have a great weekend, and tell my girl Margot I said hello.
I will. Thanks, Richard.
Mornings with Richard.
From the Seabrook.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Since you're up early, you get the news first. Back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Good morning to you. It is 7:37 on Friday, the 24th of April, alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. Glad to be with you. We got an hour and a half left, but it's going to go really, really fast. Let me tell you what's coming up the rest of the way. We're going to hang for the rest of this 7 o'clock hour. Nicole Martz is going to join us to begin the 8 o'clock hour. She is Director of Sales and Marketing with the Mississippi Aquarium. We will find out what is happening at the Aquarium. And I'm sorry. My apologies for the pause. My 16-year-old daughter, almost 16-year-old daughter, popped in the office, Lance, and she needed an update. Is the water on? Was her question. Yeah. Hey, in fact, hold on just a second. I need to tell her one thing. I'll be right back. You got this for like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple of questions about the weather regarding the weekend. Let me give you a heads up here on that. As far as the tropical tidbits Euro model, it looks to me like around the 4 o'clock hour today, things will start getting over to west of the state of Mississippi, right along the line. That storm seems to want to split a little bit. So as far as it hitting any of the baseball games being played tonight, South Mississippi looks to be more in the bullseye. There's a little bit of the wet stuff with a little red and a little yellow around the Natchez area down to Gloucester, and then it'll move kind of at a southeast fashion. The northern portion of that front is probably going to be up around Memphis. Looks to have some red and yellow, some scattered thunderstorms, and maybe some lightning involved. But as far as Starkville and Oxford go, there may be a window for getting these games in tonight, which I'm sure everyone is excited about. So we have that. Wanted to give you an update on the weather today. And then as far as what happened to Richard had to do a little parenting for a second.
I'm
and
here,
he's
I'm
back.
here.
He's back.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I heard the doors closing and talking, so I muted you for a second.
We're all good.
We're good to go now.
Yeah. So if you're if you're tuning in, you're like, wait, Richard's here? Yes, I'm here. Number two, I told the story at the beginning of the show. We had a water line issue that caused a flood in our side yard yesterday afternoon and last night, so I had to turn off the water to the house. And my oldest daughter, who is just kind and sweet and beautiful, and I love her dearly, she does not move with a great deal of speed early in the morning. And she knows what I do for a living. And she just kind of opened the door and popped in my office and just kind of stood there and stared at me. Like, you're just going to wait until the next commercial break. Anyway, her question was, is the water on? And I had to tell her that no, it wasn't. But there was a alternate thing that she could do. It's going to be an easy fix. It was a messy, messy deal to figure out where the leak was coming from last night. And when I say leak, I'm talking about an underground pipe that the cap had burst off of, like a half-inch metal water line. And the pressure, Lance, that comes out of a half-inch metal water line and the damage that it can do underneath the surface of the ground.
Boy, it'll be spewing.
Man.
That'd be almost like a pressure washer under there.
That's exactly right. For those of you mentioning this, yes, they have changed the game time in Starkville. 3 o'clock first pitch this afternoon, thinking that is the best window to play baseball.
And it looks like it is. I mean,
I think so.
From the Euro model, it definitely looks like the best time frame.
In terms of the hourly forecast for Oxford, Ole Miss and Georgia are set to play game 1 tonight at 6:30. Man, it looks better. Chance of scattered thunderstorms at 3 o'clock. 44% of chance of scattered thunderstorms at 6 o'clock. 70% thunderstorms at 7, 8. Okay.
And most of it looks scattered to me. It's not like a huge just swath of red and yellow, but it is.
Yeah, but you know what? When Hunter Elliott's about going to run out there, you want to know how scattered they are.
Yes.
Are they scattered in a way that I'm going to get 6 innings out of him and he's got a chance to keep these Georgia bats at bay? Or are they scattered where we're going to start and stop, and I'm going to burn my guy tonight?
Well, and you get to first, you're not given the analysis from the cheap seats. You're going to be up there covering all three of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. My guy.
I would just love to know whether or not that's going to be 2 tomorrow and 1 on Sunday, or if we're going to try to play 3 over the course of 3 days.
You and me both. Perez and I would love to know
Yes.
what's tomorrow looking like.
We will let you know the answer to that question as soon as we get the answer as well. Today, this afternoon, from 3 to 6, join Sports Talk Mississippi in Oxford to kick off the 27th Double-Decker Arts Festival. That, by the way, is another group that is highly interested in the forecast over the next 24 to 36 hours. Two-day celebration of music, food, and art on the historic Oxford Square. The music lineup begins tomorrow with several acts, including Shane Smith and the Saints. On Saturday, it's a full day of music. I think it all gets started at either 11 or 11:30, and it's just one act after another, after another, after another, culminating with Wilco on Saturday night. Sports Talk Mississippi will be set up right next to City Hall. The new Visit Oxford office is in the basement of City Hall, and Borky and Haydad and I, at least for a little while, we'll be hanging out with you from the Pocket Park on the east side of the Oxford Square, directly to the south of City Hall. Very compass rose of me on the directions there.
Well, I also wanted to mention, it looks like 9 a.m. in the morning, April the 25th, which is Saturday. And I know you worry about the weenie dogs because if it's raining, I don't know if they function as well.
We are the wiener dogs.
But it looks to me like the window is going to be there for the world's largest wiener dog race in Starkville to take place.
That's great.
Yeah, so it looks good. It looks clear.
That is outstanding. So Nicole Martz is going to join us at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:20, we're going to do something. We're just kind of tinkering a little bit and sampling a little bit. We had a good conversation yesterday with Peter Costa, talking markets and analysis, a guy that has worked in the stock exchange with CNBC as a market analyst and a whole lot more. Interesting insight. Always enjoy our conversations with him. If you missed that conversation, we're going to play it back for you at 8:20 this morning, and then we'll kind of wrap things up at the end of the hour. So we're just kind of trying some different things and seeing how they work. So glad to be with you. And we were talking, man, a lot of different stuff going on. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Oh, I had an idea that I wanted to group think this a second. I was television in my office. Got Fox on, and they're doing a like America 250 road trip, Lance. Just kind of bouncing around different places, and like they're in Houston this morning, watching Brian Kilmeade try to put boots on what appeared to be for the first time in his life. That was amusing. And they were doing like armadillo races. I wish somebody had told him that armadillos are kind of nasty.
Yeah, and they carry to what is it?
Leprosy.
Leprosy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Not a great plan. But it got me thinking, we're coming up on birthday for the United States. Have you seen any good merchandise? Like any good logos? I mean, I know there is a logo. It's that 250 with the red, white, and blue. I don't know that that's the best logo, but that's the one we're stuck with.
Yeah. I think Trump's swag site would probably have more.
Oh, I don't know. If you go to the America 250 website, it has a very Trump swag feel to it.
Okay, so he's integrated.
Yeah, it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Not great.
Need to call the Masters up, man.
Well, the Masters or me.
Yeah, you got some good ideas. Huh?
Like, I feel like I ought to reach out to my friends at Gentile.
Yes.
And be like, hey, here's what I need. I need some white and some navy blue and some powder blue polos and hoodies. Need some hats just like the one I've got, solid navy. And we need to go small chest logo with just the America 250. And then on the sleeve, we need a SuperTalk logo. And then for hats, we need like a patch with the America 250 hat and a SuperTalk logo somewhere on it also.
I think Gentile ought to do a red, white, and blue duck, for this year. Implement the logo, just the red, white, and just for this year, just implement that too, as well as your great ideas.
Well, but where my mind was really going with this, I'm like, is this sellable merch? If there was a SuperTalk logo to go with the...
I'm in.
Somebody said scratch the powder blue. Like,
the powder blue.
The
Says
idea...
the state fan.
Well, there's no question it is. But this fascination with, I can't wear anything that's powder blue because I'm a Mississippi State fan. It's also the color of the sky. Hey, Dad does that to me. It's like, what am I going to do with this powder blue? I was like, wear it, man.
From the Venable Glass.
With Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Some of you do not know me as well as you think you know me. Some of you. There were a number of comments saying that, great idea, Richard, except for the powder blue. Oh, your rebel fandom is shining through. No powder blue. If you think me mentioning putting an America 250 and a SuperTalk logo on a powder blue golf shirt or hat or hoodie had anything to do with the rebels from the University of Mississippi, you are sorely mistaken, friends. It had everything to do with commerce. It is a good color that sells and looks good when you put a red, white, and blue logo on it. That would be the rationale, no more, no less. Amanda says, if it's not powder blue, Richard, then call it sky blue. I don't care what color you call it. Sky, powder, Carolina. Lilac would have purple in it, right? So, wouldn't be lilac. Yeah, you call it whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about selling product. Somebody said that they don't wear powder blue. I'm paraphrasing here because it is not masculine enough for them. Somebody says, I'm a big State fan, but I do have powder blue and burgundy sports jackets. That's actually a really good combination on a sport coat. Somebody said, does Richard wear maroon? The answer to that question is no. You're not going to like why I answered that question no, though. We're just going to be real on a Friday morning. No, I don't wear maroon. It has absolutely nothing to do with Mississippi State or Texas A&M or Virginia Tech or anybody else. It has to do with the fact that it's a bad color. How do I know this? I'm making people so mad when I say it. So it's like, see, I told you. I don't like the color maroon. I like red.
It's not my favorite, maroon.
Did you know that in the women's fashion industry, last fall, and there's a little bit of carryover this year, it's not a full carryover year to year, but the color of the fall last year was maroon. And when I say color of the fall, that's not like an official thing. It's just all of the designers kind of end up in you're talking about like high fashion designers kind of end up being one of the primary colors and palettes of their lineup for a particular season. However, they didn't call it maroon.
We got the plum colors that are close to.
They called it oxblood.
Yeah, oxblood. I love it.
They did.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of how maroon came to be. As I was telling you, as if you go back, a lot of the ag schools use maroon. So, and it's ox blood, cow blood color, and they had the white doctor's coats on, and you get a little blood on there, and that just kind of became that looks good together. So.
Jason in Starkville says it goes well with Richard's skin tone, ghostly white.
Yeah, pasty. Yeah, I can't wear maroon. I look too pasty, Look like I just arrived from the Arctic Pole.
Well, you said my skin tone is ghostly white?
That's what they're saying about you, but I don't know. You got a little tan action.
I'm going to read this verbatim from Bulldog Chip.
I'm going to find Bulldog Chip.
I love this. People are idiots. You're a grown man. Wear whatever the hell you want to wear.
Thank you, Bulldog Chip.
Amen, Chip.
Yes, sir.
Amen. Amanda says, I took the bait. Somebody said, can't wear powder blue because I'm an LSU fan. Oh, let me tell you. Just stick with me here for a second. We're all, is this what you guys do on Fridays?
Pretty much.
Occasionally?
Yeah. Circumvent the rules as much as possible.
So lots and lots of schools have gone to a light blue. Call it whatever color you want to. The interesting thing about the whole Ole Miss piece of it is Ole Miss has actually gotten away from powder blue or Carolina blue in favor of Italy blue, which is closer to royal blue than it is sky or powder blue. Nevertheless, a lot of schools have gone to an alternate uniform in which they use powder blue or a light blue as their base color. Auburn did it in baseball this year, and I would say it immediately became their best-looking jersey.
Oh, yeah, by far.
It's a light powder blue V-neck with, navy Auburn trimmed in orange across the chest. It's spectacular. So LSU fan gonna cringe at this idea. If you took a light powder baseball jersey and did gold LSU or Tigers or whatever across the chest trimmed in a dark purple, and you wore that with a purple hat, it'd be a really, really good look. It really would be.
Hey, I'm not debating.
In fairness, I don't think light blue and maroon work together outside of on a sport coat. So I don't think you're going to see that from any Mississippi State baseball jerseys anytime soon.
They're like a 70s color combo. Let's
talk whales and fish and marinas and aquariums next.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Good to be with you on this Friday morning. Today is April 24th, 2026. Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank. We're here for every part of your financial journey, looking to manage your personal finances. Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Glad to be with you this morning. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. I would agree with this message on the C Spire text line. A lighter color, a lighter shade of burgundy or maroon in a spring sports coat is a great look. Completely agree. Completely. That has absolutely nothing to do, though, with the Mississippi Aquarium, and that's what we're talking about right now with our friend Nicole Martz. She is Director of Sales and Marketing with the Mississippi Aquarium. Nicole, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. What's going on at the aquarium this weekend and this spring also?
Well, of course, Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, it's always a fantastic time here at Mississippi Aquarium. We just kicked off a brand new exhibit with our partners, University of Southern Mississippi, called Toxic Beauty, just in time for Earth Day. And students from that community helped clean up our beaches. And they took that trash and turned it into a message. They turned it into some phenomenal art pieces that we'll have displayed all throughout the summer here. And we encourage everybody to come out and see those pieces. But this weekend, we're doing a beach cleanup just in time for Earth Day as well to make a difference. We've collected tons of trash since opening in 2020, and it's really a community event. We have people from all over that come and, want to make a difference and contribute, and it's really great.
Outstanding. We think about the aquarium and we think about going inside and seeing the all of the animals that are there and all those that are swimming and tied to aquatic life, but that community connection is a neat piece to recognize things that have got to happen outside the aquarium as well.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on our three pillars: conservation, education, and community. And that's not just inside our doors. That's all throughout, whether it's a field trip or an outreach where we go and bring a shark to a classroom or a turtle release. It is turtle release season, and we're one of the largest rehabilitators of Kempsfordly sea turtles here in the Gulf. And so there's always lots of stuff happening here, especially during the spring as we gear up into the summer season.
The sea turtle making the nest, having the babies, and watching those kind of make their way back into the Gulf is one of the really, really cool things in terms of watching nature happen in real life.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't know, but there is the smallest and most critically endangered sea turtle in the world that's right here in our Gulf. They nest, just like you mentioned, on the beaches of Mexico and Texas, and they migrate up the East Coast. And as it does, it gets really chilly up there, and some of them get cold stunned. So we have partners up in the Northeast that rescue these guys, and they send them down to us, and we get 40 plus of these cold stunned turtles every year. And we rehabilitate them on top of our everyday work here at the aquarium because they are important. They're important to our Gulf and our community, and we want to help make sure that they're here for years to come. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend coming to a turtle release. It is just so heartwarming.
It really is neat to watch. And just a quick reminder for people, if you happen to see a sea turtle nesting area, you don't mess with them. What is it that people need to remember if they are watching that incredible natural event happen?
Yeah, of course. Well, we always recommend for any wildlife is just to give it space, right? You can appreciate from a distance, but let nature do its thing and just be as best of a steward for the local community, for the wildlife as you can. You, of course, can observe and take photos or commemorate the occasion, but you want to give them as much space as possible to do what they do best.
In terms of experiences and encounters and what's happening, what people are going to see if they visit the museum, is there anything that's a special event that's happening right now, or is it kind of the standard fare for what you see at the aquarium?
We always have events happening here at the aquarium. People that, by general admission, of course, can enhance their experience with one of a number of encounters. We have a dolphin encounter where you can get up close and personal to the state's official marine mammal. And meeting a dolphin is just once in a lifetime experience, that connection that you'll keep with you forever. We also have a sea trek experience that I'm a big fan of that you definitely have to try, Richard, if you haven't, where you get into our large habitat with a helmet and just immerse yourself in the ocean. And then we have our penguin encounter, which is a fan favorite as well. We have a colony of 17 now critically endangered African penguins that we're hoping to get on campus very soon in their own building. But being able to meet one of these birds is really remarkable. And then our special events, we have May the 4th right around the corner. So if you know, really a special event with lots of fun characters coming to join us. And then Mother's Day right around the corner, such a special day. We get to see all those moms just making memories with kids and their families. And it's one of the reasons why we do what we do.
Is there a Jedi theme that goes with the May the 4th event?
Absolutely. We have lots of wonderful characters that you might not normally see here at the aquarium, in addition to some underwater lightsaber battles, which is really cool. Our divers, our animal ambassador team get into it. I think our beavers had a lightsaber ceremony of their own last year, and we love a good theme, and we love providing some special enrichment to our animals, and the guests really have a good time too.
Is that breaking news that lightsabers work underwater?
Hey, you never know what happens underwater. It's a really special place. So we've got all kinds of underwater visitors that visit us. Christmas, we have diving elves, mermaids come to Mississippi Aquarium. So it's a real fantastic time.
Obviously, with the school districts that are on the coast, they know all about the aquarium. But in terms of groups and school groups coming in, what's the best way to go about planning that and making sure that that's a really cool experience?
I'm so glad you asked. We actually welcome students from across the region, the whole southern region, all the way up from Tupelo, our home state, to even some in Florida, which is really great. And our website is the best place to do that, msaquarium.org. We welcome school groups or just groups of families or groups from different organizations coming to the aquarium, and we have some great pricing as well.
You can get all of that information, general admission, season passes, discounts for military groups and others on the website. Again, it's msaquarium.org, msaquarium.org. Nicole, what is your favorite aquarium exhibit?
Oh my gosh, it depends on the day, but I definitely have some fan favorites. One of my most favorite is, of course, the touch pool. That is one of the first experiences that families have here at the top floor of our Aquatic Wonders building. They're able to touch with one or two fingers some of the animals. And with that, they're starting that connection. So the kids are really excited. They get up there and they get to make this hands-on connection with these animals. And just to see them beaming is just, again, why we do what we do. It's really exciting. We have some rays in there that are really fun and really full of personality, as well as some sharks. And a lot of people are scared of sharks. So it's our way to kind of bridge the gap and say, maybe they're just misunderstood. There are a lot of special animals out there that if you just kind of get to know them or learn about some of those behaviors, you'll kind of be less afraid. And then one of my fan favorites is Chad. He's the spot fin porcupine puffer in our big oceans habitat. And you can't miss him with his giant googly eyes.
You mentioned a second ago a partnership with the University of Southern Mississippi. We know that marine biology is an incredible field that exists. For college students, is there any sort of an internship program or partnership program that works with college students where you guys are bringing people in and exposing them to different areas of marine biology?
Absolutely. We actually have some stellar programs, one of which is our Title Teen program. We just launched it a couple of semesters ago. So teens can sign up to volunteer, and through that, they get some job shadowing. They get introductions into all these different facets of the aquarium. It truly is like a small city. We have HVAC, we have marketing and sales, we have photo team, we have our animal ambassadors, we have food and beverage, we have everything you can imagine. So lots of hands-on experience. In addition to Title Teens, we do internships and externships in a variety of different areas, accounting, etc. So, of course, our website is the best place to look at all of those available careers and internship and externship opportunities.
As you can tell, there is lots that is happening at the Mississippi Aquarium. Nicole, always good to catch up with you. Thanks for joining us this morning, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
You can have a wonderful weekend as well. If you visit the Mississippi Aquarium, you can see their hours of operation, all of the ticket information, and what's going on at the aquarium. Their website is the best place to do that, msaquarium.com, msaquarium.com. Glad to be with you on this Friday morning, April the 24th. Quick time out. Then we're back with a conversation that we had yesterday with Peter Costa. I'll tell you about that after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. More coming up with you in this 8 o'clock hour.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
On your radio, on our app, or on your smart speaker. We're always free. SuperTalk Mississippi, your home for Mornings with Richard Cross.
Back with you, Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. Two music giants, Post Malone and Jelly Roll, will be making a stop at Vaught Hemingway Stadium on the Ole Miss campus on Friday, June 5th. Joining them in Oxford will be country music singer Carter Faith. Go to supertalk.fm to find a registration location near you. This giveaway is brought to you by Legacy GMC in Laurel. It's your chance to win tickets to Post Malone and Jelly Roll. Yesterday, Peter Costa joined me, and we talked about a lot of different things that are going on with the markets and with the economy. If you missed it, now is your chance to hear part one of that conversation with Peter Costa, former governor with the New York Stock Exchange.
Is that me?
Oh, you don't have that ready to go?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I wasn't even looking at that.
That's okay.
Just a sec here, dude.
Well, if it's not ready, that's okay. I don't know if we'll have time to squeeze it in or not. I know you have it on the syllabus here, so let me click. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you don't have that pulled up and in VMix ready to go, then we can punt that. And somebody didn't check their email.
I did. I just don't have it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's pivot on that and remind you that you can join the conversation on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. I suppose your most recent update from what is happening in the Middle East is tied to Israel and Lebanon. President Trump made the announcement yesterday that Israel and Lebanon have agreed to extend a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah by 3 weeks after talks at the White House on Thursday. The meeting was the second high-level negotiation between the two countries since last week. The initial 10-day ceasefire, which took effect last Friday, was set to expire on Monday, this coming Monday, but that has now been extended by 3 weeks. I don't know if this falls into the category of miracle work or not, but when that first meeting took place, it was the first time in, 3-4 decades that you had representatives from Israel and Lebanon in the same room to potentially negotiate peace and at least initially enact a ceasefire. The issue is not so much with Israel and Lebanon per se, but it is the role that Hezbollah plays in using Lebanon as kind of a headquarters isn't the right word, but like their home base. And Lebanon's willingness to allow, at least traditionally, Hezbollah to exist in their country. It's going to be fascinating to see where this piece of it goes. And it's going to require, for sustained success, a willingness of Hezbollah to agree to the ceasefire. But it's also going to require Israel not to fire off missiles every single time they feel like there is an issue, which seems unlikely. We know that, I don't want to say that Israel's trigger happy, but they are offensive sometimes in terms of if they see the need to fight, they will. There's not a lot of posturing when it comes to Israel. Israel has been threatened for so long and by so many terrorist groups who hate Jews and hate Israel and hate Israel's mere existence that they have become preconditioned to, in terms of fight or flight, they fight every single time. That's one of those agreements that feels like it is tenuous at best. So we will see what that looks like in the days ahead. You can join the conversation on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. With C Spire, it's easier than ever to get all the details you want in one move with the Ultimate Connect bundle. Right now, New and current customers can get a free phone, watch, and tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90. That includes the new iPhone 17 and Samsung Galaxy S26 for free, and a free smartwatch and tablet to go with it. So don't wait. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com or stop by your local C-Spire store today. Lots of ways for you to jump into the conversation. Nathan says, my truck's been in the shop all morning. I just tuned in. It was a surprise to hear you on a Friday morning. Thank you, Nathan. Always a pleasure to have you along for the ride.
Yeah, we've been doing material swatch colors today, buddy. You missed out.
That was a brief part of the conversation that
I just
ran off into the bushes.
Y'all keep talking colors. Those are pastels, the light colors.
Yeah. Jason Sarkville says, could the aquarium do a Mexican theme for Cinco de Mayo? If there's a Jedi theme, Star Wars theme for May the 4th, then what about May the 5th? You've got the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America right there beyond the doors of the aquarium. I don't know. Suppose it's worth a... people love a Cinco de Mayo party.
Yeah, people love a theme, too,
On the Middle East theme, Iran's state-run IRNA news agency confirmed early today that Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi was headed to Pakistan for talks and will also stop in Oman and Russia. The trip to Pakistan comes as officials there have been trying to get the United States and Iran to a second round of ceasefire negotiations. The report said that the trip beginning on Friday is focused on ongoing regional developments and the U.S.-Iran war. Ongoing regional developments.
It's fluid.
Why is he stopping in Oman and Russia en route to Pakistan or on the way home from Pakistan?
It sounds like some of your connecting flights, when you have to go.
Yes. Is he going to have to go through Dallas or Charlotte on the way?
Got to fly to Denver to get to Atlanta and then down to Miami, right?
Jason says he's a Cinco de Mayo baby.
I love a Cinco de Mayo. As long as there's tacos involved, I'm in.
Jason, you have that in common with my oldest daughter. She is a Cinco de Mayo girl as well.
It's easy birthdays to remember.
It is. Yeah. Absolutely. Of my three children's birthdays, I am Ava Montgomery is 5'10". That's really easy for me to remember. Have to think a little farther on the. I guess Obi's pretty easy to remember as well because his birthday is the day after mine. Poor Frances. We don't ever forget her birthday, I assure you that. But kind of randomly coming up with May 23rd. And wait, what year was it? How old is she? That one takes just a little bit of thinking.
That's the third, though.
Yeah. Well, and it's not because we love her any less.
No,
it's just her birthday doesn't have that immediate association with it that the other two do. So if I go to the pharmacy and we're doing prescription refills and there's something for her, she's the one that I always have. Hold on a second. It's 5/23/17. Yeah, that's the year that she was born. I hope I didn't just give out too much personal information.
My dad has no idea about myself. What my birthday is, right, Daddy? Goes, well, it just puts him into freeze up.
Check with your mama.
Yeah, it freezes him up in a heartbeat.
Do you not remember, son? Why do you need me to tell you?
Yeah. It's I remember yours, though. Come on.
Yeah. Lots going on this weekend, and we are we're keeping an eye on the weather. There is, I think Lance told you about this earlier, a pretty significant threat of severe storms. What we hope is that this is one of those days where it is more bark than it is bite. You had a tornadic outbreak in Oklahoma and in Missouri yesterday. It appears that most of that is going to be to the north of us. There is a severe weather possibility or threat in Mississippi. And one of the things that we've done is kind of peeked at the radar, trying to keep an eye on what it may look like. There is apparently rain that is making its way into the state of Mississippi throughout the course of the day, and you're going to have different parts of the state that are affected. More of the potential severe weather looks like it's going to be this afternoon into tonight. Good news is some of what is making its way into the state is kind of breaking up, and Lance pointed that out earlier. Some of that's kind of splitting along the way. But the folks in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas dealing with some pretty severe weather events throughout the course of the day today and into the weekend. Mornings with Richard Cross, half an hour left with you on this Friday alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard. Thanks for joining us. MRC presented by Community Bank on SuperTalk Mississippi. We're back after this short timeout.
From theseabrook.com,
where you come first for news. Fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Thanks for being with us on this Friday morning, the 24th of April. Yesterday, I had a chance to visit with Peter Costa, former governor with the New York Stock Exchange and market analyst with CNBC. We talked a lot about the economy and the markets. Here is that conversation in part from yesterday. Is Peter Costa, former market analyst with CNBC, a former governor with the New York Stock Exchange. My friend, always a pleasure to visit. Peter, the stock market has been setting record highs. We saw it at the end of last week. It has happened again this week, all while we have a war happening in the Middle East, which leads me to this question, said best by the great Vince Lombardi. What is going on with the market right now, with the way that is reacting to the news that is changing, if not daily, maybe hourly, out of the Middle East with the war on Iran, with the clampdown on their ability to make money, with the Strait of Hormuz and everything else? Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Richard. All right, this is a multi-layered question and answer. I'm going to have to say that there's two different themes going on right now. You have very substantial earnings. The earnings period has started. The banks have done very, very well. And when banks are doing well, the economy is still in good shape. And I think that there's investors that believe that longer term, looking out 3, 6, 9 months, 2 years, whatever the case may be, there are still investment opportunities and they don't want to miss out on the movements that are going on in the market. With that being said, though, what happens in this market is what I'm seeing, and I think everyone can see this, is that anytime there's any kind of news, be it positive or negative, markets react very quickly. That's not mom and pop getting on the computer and going on the Charlie Schwab account and selling stock. That's computer generated programs that are just reacting to the news. And in the morning they can react one way, in the afternoon they react another way. So to me, you see the volatility, the midday and the midweek volatility. It's not concerning to me because it is just reactionary. My bigger concern is I think that the market right now, and I've said this for a while, I think the market's a little overpriced. I don't think it's that far overpriced, but I do think that we are a little ahead of ourselves as far as like the economy. But we have, the earnings have been good, and you cannot dispute when a company comes in and like a Goldman Sachs and reports multiple $1 billion in profit. You can't dispute that fact, and I think that's a lot of investors are holding on to that as a reason to get involved, is that the banks and the financial institutions are still doing very, very well. I mean, they're going to. To me, the way the government after 2008, it tightened the screws on them, and then over time, those screws got loosened an awful lot, and banks can make money pretty much anytime. So, that's early on.
From your seat, when you say banks are doing well, Are you talking about Community Bank and Bank Plus and the local Planners branch, or are you talking about institutional type banks like Goldman Sachs that you you mentioned, and some of these massive financial institutions?
Well, I think, you know what, you definitely have to separate the two. Smaller banks like Regions Financial, which is my favorite bank of all time. You look at them and they're making money, but they're not crunching the numbers that a Goldman or a JP Morgan or a Morgan Stanley will do, or Bank America. But they are doing well, and I think we're seeing those earnings come out. Generally the big banks, money center banks, report first, and then the smaller banks report second. And from what I've seen, they're doing okay. They're not doing as well as the money center banks, but they are doing okay. And one of the things about these smaller regional banks is at some point, I don't want to start a rumor or anything, but I do think there's going to be some mergers, because I think that, a lot of these banks have, in their eyes, they think they should be bigger and better. And I think you're going to start seeing some of that again. And that's not the worst thing in the world. But, you want competition, and you do want community banks to survive and do well, because that's generally where small businesses get their money. So, I don't want to see too many of those mergers, but I do think we will see a couple of them this year, based on the fact that they want to compete with the big boys. So that's just it.
There is a very successful Mississippian who was involved with Netscape, the founder, Jim Barksdale.
Yeah.
And if you go back and you read the story of when Netscape was founded, the idea behind that was getting the fiber optic cable laid, getting high-speed trading in place. And it was kind of the dawn of the high-speed internet age. I say that only to kind of tie it to Mississippi, but when you say computer-generated programs, I think there are people that are listening that go, what are you talking about? I think about the stock market. I think about trading stocks. I know that there are institutional investors out there. But what are you talking about specifically when you say computer-generated programs that are doing all of this trading?
Well, it's funny.
Forgive me if that's an elementary question.
Oh, no, not at all. And it actually ties in with Barksdale, because I met him at a conference at Ole Miss many years ago, and he had proposed something, and he said, "This is what we're looking to do." And going back to what you're saying, he was going to build a fiber optic network between New York and Chicago. And, and I told him, I said, the only thing that you need to do is build fiber optic within a mile of any exchange data center. And he said, why? I said, because that's where all the other computer algorithms are. They want the speed is in micro milliseconds. So if you're 800 yards from a computer center, you have the option of, you have the ability to trade in front of a lot of activity, because you're so close to the point of where it's actually happening. It's not happening on the trading floor of the stock exchange. It's happening in a computer terminal, not terminal, but a data center in Mahwah, New Jersey, and there's one outside of Chicago. I'm not sure where it is. But what happens is these computers can, when you put in an order, me or you, to buy 1,000 shares of IBM, let's say, they've already gone out before your order even gets to where it's going to trade. They've already bought stock in front of you, and then they turn around and resell it to you up maybe a fraction of a penny. And those fractions happen hundreds of millions of times a day. So I'm making like 0.001 per 100 shares on one trade. They're doing it so often and so quick that you don't even know it. You have no idea. If you were going to buy something at $100 and you end up paying $100 and a penny, it's not really that big a deal to you. But to them, they've made a ton of money in that span of 1 cent. So those computer programs, and this is just one facet of it, there's a million different varieties, but they make a tremendous amount of money. And Barksdale, thought the best way to do it was to give them fiber optic access in New York and Chicago, but they didn't need that. They only needed fiber optics from Mahwah to some executive office building 2 blocks away. That's all they needed. And It's been going on for a long time, and the exchanges don't fight it because it does provide liquidity. And you know what? At the bottom line for me and you, we want liquidity. We don't want to buy something that we have to pay up 15 or 20 cents because there's no liquidity. So the computers add that liquidity. I'm not a big fan, but they make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's a very quiet business, and they never complain about anything because they have it all figured out. And their risk is minimal because at the end of the day, they don't have any positions. So their computers can be trading all day long and have no position at the end of the day. And that's the whole, you know what I mean? So there's no risk overnight. The only risk is if, markets change, and then they're going to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah. Visiting with Peter Costa, former market analyst with CNBC and a former governor with the New York Stock Exchange. We talk financials with him on a fairly regular basis. And, we look at the local level and how we individually are being affected when we pay $4 a gallon for gas, or, the cost of a gallon of milk or a dozen eggs is twice what it was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. How do you, and we've only got a minute until the break, so we have to come back to this on the other side. How do you dovetail the stock market setting all-time record highs over and over, and the president pointing to, hey, the stock market is roaring, with, yeah, but I've got less money than I had in my pocket or in my bank account or in my savings account than I had just a couple of years ago?
Well, traditionally, they've gone hand in hand. How well you're doing at home with your finances, generally the market will do well. If you're struggling at your job, the market's going to be struggling as well. What we're seeing now is we're seeing a disconnect between the actual consumer in the United States and what's going on in the market. And the markets are being generated and driven by larger investors, and a lot of us will be on we're the fear of missing out thing, but we're usually the last one to the party. So when you start seeing a lot of retail investors get involved, you'll know the market has reached the top.
Peter Costa is my guest. We're going to take a quick time out. We've got more coming up with him in just a moment. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank.
From the Venable,
you come first for news, fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Last time with you on this Friday morning. Today is the 24th of April, 2026. We are glad to be with you alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. The weekend has arrived, and we hope you are ready for a great weekend and hope that the weather will cooperate as well. A lot of baseball happening in the Magnolia State. Mississippi State hosting LSU this weekend. Bulldogs have moved up game time for their game one in the series to 3 o'clock this afternoon. So if you are planning to head to Starkville for Super Bulldog weekend, for baseball, for the Wiener Dog races, all of that, just note that baseball has been moved up. 3 o'clock is the first pitch for the series between Ole Miss and LSU between Mississippi State and LSU game one this afternoon. Unless it has changed in just the last few minutes, there has been no announcement about any sort of a game time change for game one between Ole Miss and Georgia, top 25 matchup in Oxford. 6:30 scheduled first pitch, and no announcements to any game time change for that. You got Southern Miss on the road this weekend, taking on South Alabama over to Mobile to face the Jaguars in a 3-game series. Southern Miss has won 4 in a row after getting a sweep of Texas State this past weekend and then getting a midweek victory over Tulane. So they are trying to roll on or I should say keep rolling in Hattiesburg with the Golden Eagles. And, of course, Double Decker is happening this weekend in Oxford. Sports Talk Mississippi will be live there this afternoon, right next to City Hall in the Pocket Park, assuming the weather cooperates. And would love for you to come by and say hello if you're in the area. Michael Borky and Brian Haydad will be there. I'm going to stop by and hang with those guys for a little while this afternoon. Double Decker, 27th edition. It is a 2-day celebration of music, food, and art on the historic Oxford Square. The music lineup begins tonight. Several acts wrapping up with Shane Smith and the Saints. And then on Saturday, it's a full day of music, food, and fun with Wilco taking the stage. Somebody said that Tuesday was a walk-off win for Southern Miss. Yeah, it absolutely was. Got a base hit with the bases loaded after... what was it? Was it walk, single that put runners at second and third, then an intentional walk to Joey Urban, and then you got the kind of dumped one out into right field to score the winning run. 5-4, I think, was the final, if I remember correctly, to get the win over Tulane. So they're just going to play Tulane again this coming Tuesday night in New Orleans. Jason in Starkville, why are they on the same weekend? I think he is talking about the about Super Bulldog weekend and in Starkville that coincides with the hold on, I'm going to mess the name up of this. The Wiener Dog race is what's happening, but it's part of the larger Arts Fest, Boardtown Pizza Arts Fest, I think. That kind of all rolled into one. I think what Jason is asking, why is that happening in Starkville with Double Decker happening in Oxford? I don't know. I do know that Double Decker has been on the final weekend of the month of April for about a quarter of a century now. And it probably just coincided with the home baseball schedule for Mississippi State when they were scheduling Super Bulldog weekend.
Well, you got the marathon in Oxford and the Wiener Dog race in Starkville. So this competition definitely is not just on the field of play or the court.
There you go. There you go. Lot happening all over the state of Mississippi. Don't forget that this afternoon you've got In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar. You'll hear an interview with authors Josh Clark and Judy Long, who have written a book called The Most Powerful Word. It explores why Mississippi has produced so many acclaimed authors. You can listen to In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar this afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on Super Talk Mississippi. Just a programming note, looking ahead to next week, we will be joined, I think it's Tuesday morning, by the Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hoseman, going to join us. We will talk with him about the good and the bad from this legislative session, and also kind of recap the way that final day played out. That's coming up on Tuesday next week. The Lieutenant Governor will be in studio with us in Jackson. Look forward to that. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Lance, good to be with you on this Friday morning.
Yes, sir. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be tuned in listening to you, brother.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend. We're back at it on Monday morning just after 6 o'clock. Until then, we remind you, Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, is on Super Talk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.